We live in a world filled with noise, chaos, and constant distractions. In the midst of it all, there is one truth that stands tall. If you can master yourself, you can master your life. Before you can master anything in life, whether it's your goals, your relationships, or your destiny, you must first master yourself. And the very first step in mastering yourself is developing self-awareness. Self-awareness is not just knowing your favorite color or recognizing when you're tired. It's the ability to observe your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in real time, without judgment. It's about becoming the observer of your inner world, what you think, how you feel, what triggers you, and why you react the way you do. When you are self-aware, you begin to see patterns. Patterns in how you respond to stress, how you deal with failure, how you seek approval, or how you self-sabotage. You start to realize that many of your actions are not conscious choices, but deeply ingrained habits and emotional reflexes that you've repeated over time. And here's the key. What you are not aware of, you cannot change. Without self-awareness, you're just going through life on autopilot, reacting to circumstances instead of creating them. You become a passenger instead of the driver. You might wonder why the same challenges keep showing up, or why you feel stuck despite your efforts. But when you turn inward, when you listen, really listen to yourself, you gain a new kind of clarity. You learn to ask better questions. Why did I respond that way? What am I really feeling underneath this anger or sadness? What am I avoiding? What belief am I holding on to that no longer serves me? And when you start asking better questions, you start getting better answers. You begin to see not just what's happening to you, but what's happening within you. You become empowered to break cycles, to rewrite your story, to intentionally shape the person you're being. Self-awareness is also the foundation of emotional intelligence, which governs how you connect with others. The more you understand your own emotions, the more empathy, patience, and authenticity you bring to your relationships. People who master self-awareness tend to be more grounded, more resilient, and more in control, not because life is easier for them, but because they've learned to manage what's going on inside, no matter what's happening outside. This level of awareness is not something you achieve once and then forget about. It's a lifelong practice. Like a muscle, the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. It comes from moments of silence, honest reflection, journaling, mindfulness, and sometimes even painful truths that show you where you still need to grow. It's not always comfortable. In fact, it can be deeply confronting to hold a mirror up to yourself. But that mirror is where transformation begins. Because once you see clearly, you can begin to choose clearly. You gain the power to pause between impulse and action, to shift direction, to act from intention rather than instinct. We live in a world obsessed with motivation. Scroll through social media and you'll find endless quotes, speeches, and videos designed to light a fire under you. And while motivation can be a great spark, it's not the fuel that sustains the journey. Because motivation is emotional and emotions are fleeting. They rise and fall like waves. What you need for mastery of yourself and your life is something far more stable. Motivation might get you to start, but discipline keeps you going. And that's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the achievers. Discipline is showing up, not once, not when it's convenient, but every single day, through boredom, frustration, fatigue, and doubt. It's waking up early to work out when the bed feels too good. It's choosing a healthy meal when junk food is easier. It's sitting down to build your craft, write the page, study the lesson, or push forward, even when no one is watching. And that's the beautiful truth about discipline. It thrives in the dark, in the unseen hours, in the moments when no one is clapping and there's no trophy waiting. Discipline doesn't need applause. It doesn't care about instant gratification. It's built on intention and integrity, doing what you said you would do, long after the mood in which you made the promise has passed. True discipline is not about being harsh or rigid. It's about alignment, aligning your daily actions with your long-term values and vision. It's about choosing your future self over your current comfort. It asks you to zoom out, to play the long game, to invest in who you want to become rather than indulging who you are right now. What makes discipline so powerful is that it creates momentum. Every time you honor your commitments, you build trust with yourself. You say to your subconscious, I follow through, I show up, I don't quit. And the more often you repeat this message, the more you start to believe it. That belief becomes part of your identity, and identity is everything. Time back. Because once you see yourself as someone who is disciplined, someone who keeps promises to themselves, your behavior naturally follows. That's why discipline is a kind of freedom. It may sound ironic, but structure creates space. When you master discipline, you stop being a slave to your moods, distractions, or whims. You stop getting pushed around by laziness or fear. You become steady, grounded, powerful. You create the ability to live deliberately rather than reactively. And here's what most people don't realize. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's not about never slipping, never missing a day, never feeling tired. It's about getting back on track fast. It's about resilience, not rigidity. The disciplined person isn't the one who never fails. It's the one who refuses to stay down. Master yourself is to master your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. Emotional regulation is the ability to navigate your feelings with clarity, control, and consciousness. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being in charge. Because the moment you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, you hand over the keys to your life. But when you learn to regulate them, you reclaim your power. We're emotional beings. That's not a weakness. It's part of our design. Emotions are messengers. They carry valuable information about what we care about, what we fear, what excites or threatens us. But when we don't know how to manage those emotions, they can distort our perception, hijack our behavior, and lead us into choices we regret. Think about how many times you've said something in anger that you later wished you could take back, or how fear held you back from taking an important risk, or how sadness, if left unchecked, spiraled into inaction. In those moments, it wasn't logic running your life. It was emotion. That's why emotional mastery is so essential to personal mastery. To regulate your emotions doesn't mean pretending to be okay when you're not. It means being able to recognize what you're feeling, sit with it, process it, and respond rather than react. It's having the awareness to pause, breathe, and ask, what's really going on here? Is this emotion telling me the truth, or is it just a storm passing through? It's the strength to feel fully without being overwhelmed or consumed. Emotional regulation gives you the space between stimulus and response, that golden space where your freedom lies. In that space, you get to choose. Will I lash out, or will I communicate calmly? Will I let fear decide for me, or will I lean into courage? Will I numb this feeling with distraction, or will I sit with it and grow from it? This kind of mastery comes from practice, from becoming familiar with your emotional landscape, from journaling, meditating, breathing deeply in difficult moments, and sometimes even asking for help when the emotions are too heavy to carry alone. It's not about never feeling upset, anxious, or discouraged. It's about not letting those feelings drive the bus. When you learn how to regulate your emotions, you don't just improve your relationship with yourself. You transform the way you relate to others. You become more patient in conflict, more empathetic in conversation, more grounded when others are losing control. Emotional regulation builds trust. It earns respect. It cultivates leadership. And perhaps most importantly, it protects your energy because unmanaged emotions are exhausting. Anger burns energy. Anxiety drains you. Resentment steals your peace. But when you regulate those emotions, you preserve your clarity, your confidence, and your calm. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world. It's not just what you think, it's how you think. It shapes the way you interpret challenges, how you deal with failure, how you respond to success, and what you believe is possible for your life. And the truth is, the state of your life will never rise above the state of your mindset. That's why mastering your mindset is not optional. It's essential. There are two fundamental types of mindset, fixed and growth. A fixed mindset believes that your abilities, intelligence, and potential are set in stone. You either have it or you don't. A growth mindset, on the other hand, believes that you can grow, evolve, and improve through effort, learning, and perseverance. The difference between the two is not subtle, it's transformational. When you have a fixed mindset, failure feels like a dead end. It becomes personal, discouraging, and final. But with the growth mindset, failure becomes feedback, a stepping stone, a lesson. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can change the entire trajectory of your life. Mindset governs your internal dialogue. The voice in your head that talks to you all day long. That voice either empowers you or destroys your confidence. It tells you whether you're capable or not, whether to keep going or give up, whether you're worthy of success or destined to stay stuck. And the powerful truth is, you can train that voice. You can catch the thoughts that limit you and consciously choose better ones. You can interrupt self-doubt and replace it with self-belief. You can reframe obstacles as opportunities. This isn't about delusional positivity. It's about taking back control of your mental environment. Because what you think consistently becomes what you believe. And what you believe shapes every action you take. Your mindset also determines how you see other people. With a fixed mindset, other people's success feels like a threat. With a growth mindset, it becomes inspiration. You realize there's enough room for everyone to win, and that the success of others can serve as evidence of what's possible, not a reason to feel less than. More than anything, your mindset is your compass during adversity. Life will challenge you, sometimes hard, but your mindset is what determines whether you crumble or rise, whether you let the challenge define you or you use it to refine you. It's what allows you to find meaning in the pain and purpose in the process. This is why many of the world's most successful and fulfilled people aren't necessarily the most talented, connected, or lucky. They're the most mentally resilient. They have trained their minds to see beyond limitations, to stay curious, to embrace effort, and to grow through what they go through. Mindset isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about believing that you have the power to respond to anything that isn't. It's about choosing the perspective that serves your progress, not your excuses. And once you start mastering your mindset, you begin to notice something powerful. Life doesn't change overnight, but you do. If you want to master yourself, you must learn to master your habits, because your habits are the invisible architecture of your life. They are the small, repeated actions that stack up day after day, ultimately shaping your identity, your reality, and your future. Every habit, no matter how small, is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. People often focus on big goals, big dreams, and big changes. But the truth is, real transformation happens in the micro, not the macro. It's not about one massive act of willpower. It's about the daily choices you make when no one is watching, the time you wake up, the way you speak to yourself, the food you choose to eat, the way you respond to stress, the time you set aside for growth. These moments might seem insignificant in isolation, but over time they become your life. Every time you practice a habit, you reinforce a message to your brain. This is who I am. If you write every day, even just a paragraph, you start to believe, I am a writer. If you work out regularly, you start to believe, I'm someone who prioritizes health. If you meditate daily, you begin to see yourself as someone who is calm, centered, and in control. This identity shift is what gives habits their true power. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you're becoming. And just like positive habits can build you up, negative ones can tear you down. Every time you procrastinate, give in to temptation, or avoid responsibility, you're reinforcing a different message. I can't be trusted. I always quit. I'm not capable. These beliefs don't just stay in your mind. They bleed into your behavior, your relationships, and your self-worth. The good news is that habits are not destiny. They are learned, which means they can also be unlearned. You're not stuck with the patterns you've picked up. You can create new ones. It starts with awareness, followed by intention, followed by action. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just need to start small and stay consistent. It's not the intensity that matters most, it's the consistency. A 1% improvement each day may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, it compounds into something extraordinary. That's the secret most people miss. Greatness is not the result of occasional brilliance. It's the result of consistent, quiet effort. Designing powerful habits also means designing your environment. Willpower is important, but it's not infinite. That's why the most disciplined people in the world don't just rely on self-control. They rely on systems. They set up their space to support their goals. They remove temptations, automate decisions, and create friction for bad habits. They make the right choice the easy choice. And let's be honest, building new habits is hard. It's uncomfortable. It often feels like nothing is happening. But in those early stages, your brain and body are rewiring. Your identity is reshaping. It's in those invisible moments that the foundation is being laid. That's why you must trust the process, even when results are not immediate, because behind every strong, centered, high-performing person is a set of simple daily rituals that you don't see. Inside each of us lives a voice that whispers in moments of failure, echoes in silence, and sometimes shouts when we dare to dream. It's the inner critic. And if you want to master yourself, one of your greatest battles will be learning how to quiet that voice and reclaim your mental space from its grip. The inner critic is subtle, often masked as reason or a realism. It tells you you're not good enough, smart enough, talented enough. It reminds you of your past mistakes, magnifies your flaws, and downplays your strengths.